Hey guys, happy 2025. My name's Brenna Posey and I'm an OCD team member. And I also have OCD myself and have gone through exposure response prevention therapy or ERP therapy. I love talking about my OCD story because I really think it brings a lot of hope for others. You may recognize me from our NOCD Instagram. I run weekly Q&As on our account. Love doing that. So please join us on Instagram every Wednesday. Love getting to answer questions and to get to know more of our community members. For this video, we want to talk about goals and the new year in 2025 because as we know, with the start of a new year can bring a lot of reflection and it can bring you to think about what you want to accomplish in this year of 2025. And if you're watching this video specifically, you may have OCD and you may be wanting to take that first step into learning how to manage your OCD and just learning more about OCD and its symptoms in general. Because if you understand it and you know what OCD is, you know your compulsions, you know its symptoms, you know its treatment, then you may have a better time navigating it as a whole. So for this video specifically, I'm going to go over 5 things that you should know about OCD. The first thing that I want to talk about is that no matter how disturbing, disgusting, or difficult you think that your intrusive thoughts are, they don't necessarily mean anything about you as a person. I think we as humans want to be able to try to control what thoughts pop in our brain and what don't pop in our brain. And we just can't do that. That's not how OCD works. That's not how our brain works. And so you may not be the only one that's struggling with these thoughts as well. So I think a very important thing that people should know is that no matter how taboo your thoughts are, and not just thoughts, but images, urges, feelings, or sensations, no matter how horrifying the content is, or no matter how they may feel to you, you're not a bad person for having these thoughts. And you're probably not the only one that has them either. The second thing I want to talk about OCD is that when you try to use logic for your OCD, it often won't work. I think a lot of us that have struggled with OCD for a while have at least tried once to out logic our OCD thoughts or compulsions. And I think we've probably learned over time that sometimes it just doesn't work. And sometimes it can actually intensify our OCD. So even if we know that a thought is irrational, we sometimes can't prove that to OCD because OCD doesn't respond to logic. So I'm sure any of us that have OCD have tried to be like, okay, well, I have this really scary thought that pops in my brain and it doesn't align with my values. It doesn't, there's no way I would ever act on this thought or want this thought or want it to become true. And while that may be true, we can't use that as proof for OCD because OCD doesn't recognize that as proof. Because what will happen is, in my experience, is that I'll try to use this logic to be like, oh, no, I won't be doing this thought. Like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't align with me. And then I feel relief for about 10 seconds. And then another what if thought just pops right back again, and you're back at square one. So trying to use logic for your OCD symptoms doesn't necessarily work and is not the best option for treatment and treating your OCD. Okay, and the third one, which is a really important tip for in my life specifically, is that getting comfortable with discomfort will help you break the OCD cycle. Now, in my experience, I did ERP therapy a few years ago, and it really helped me understand the basics of OCD and my OCD in particular and my compulsions and learning how to recognize them and hopefully reducing them and resisting them going forward. And that really provided me a great foundation because, as we know, OCD can be chronic. And so we're just constantly learning new skills to manage our OCD symptoms. This year in particular, I've been really focusing on trying to sit with anxiety and feelings that I don't necessarily want to have, because I think as someone that has anxiety and OCD, there will be random days where I get triggered and I feel horrible and I feel super anxious, and it makes me feel like I can't do anything. It makes me feel like I need to stay in bed or just go down the OCD rabbit hole. And I've been able to teach myself over time how to be okay with that discomfort, because I learned that if I just continue on with my day and recognize, okay, I don't like how I'm feeling right now, but I'm going to continue on with my day and talk to my friends, be present at work, do my workout classes, go on a walk, talk to my family, do the things that align with me. Whenever I do that, even though I feel terrible while I'm doing it, I'm teaching my brain that what I'm worried about and this anxiety and these intrusive thoughts aren't actually this false alarm. So that has what's helped me a lot this year. And I encourage you to not run away from discomfort, because whenever we run away from it, that will trigger our brain that, okay, this actually is a threat and that we actually do need to do something about it, or else something bad's going to happen. And we don't want to do that. Okay, the fourth thing I want to talk about OCD is that talk therapy can be ineffective for OCD. Now, traditional talk therapy can have its merit in some situations, but in others, it may just intensify OCD, because in talk therapy, a lot of times therapists will have you analyze your thoughts and try to solve them. And OCD is complex, so it requires specialized treatment that accounts for its complexities. That's why exposure and response prevention, or ERP therapy, which was designed specifically for OCD, stands out as the gold standard. It's been proven to be the most effective treatment for OCD. Now, in my experience with OCD, talk therapy made my OCD a lot worse. I remember having to analyze my thoughts and write my thoughts down and write why I would never act on these thoughts. And at the time, I thought that made sense. I thought this would make me feel better. But in reality, it was just reinforcing my thoughts. Another thing I had to do in talk therapy was wear a ponytail on my wrist. And every time I had my intrusive thought, I had to snap my wrist to kind of signify I shouldn't be having this thought, stop allowing these thoughts. And over time, it just made me a lot worse. So ERP may be scary because you're exposing yourself to your biggest fear, but over time with your therapist, you'll learn certain skills that will help you build on top of these and be able to face all of your fears, which, has been really helpful for me. And I know it can be helpful for you too. And now, the fifth thing about OCD I want to talk about is that the impact of untreated OCD can be devastating, but with proper treatment, you can fight back and conquer it. So, the cost of untreated OCD can go beyond financial implications. While the affordability of treatment is a common concern, without proper treatment, OCD can take a toll on everyday functioning, relationships, and overall quality of life. So, the benefits of seeking treatment far outweigh the potential costs. And I truly want to speak about this for a second, because while therapy can be scary and it's a leap of faith, I have found that it's provided me with so many benefits. So even outside of OCD. So obviously I went to therapy and ERP for my OCD, but ERP taught me how to face fears in all different parts of my life, which has been great. And, without getting treatment, it can just lead you to worse symptoms and to not live the life that you deserve, and not living the life that you want to live. Because at my worst, I was bedbound. I had no idea what was going on. All I was doing 24/7 was doing mental compulsions. And at times I just felt super helpless and hopeless. But once I found ERP and just took the risk, it was really challenging at heart at first. And at first I didn't want to do it because it felt impossible. You're being asked to face your worst fears, but taking that risk and doing something different than my compulsions to try to help my OCD was one of the biggest risks, but also the biggest rewards in my life. I hope this video helps you better understand OCD. And I want to end by saying that if you're struggling right now with OCD, you can get better. With specialized treatment from a trained therapist, you can learn to manage your symptoms and put yourself, not OCD, in charge of your life. And if you're ready to start therapy for OCD, or if you have any questions about treatment, go to NOCD.com today to schedule a free 15-minute call with our team. You can talk to us about your symptoms, and we'll match you with a licensed therapist in the NOCD network who has specialized training in treating OCD.